Okay, so we're about 7 hours in, and so far we've had about 2 hours coding and 5 hours fighting with Google Chrome, and I've given up on Chrome for the moment. It doesn't work. Lots of printf debugging, and it gets down to if in your application you have more than a certain amount of vertices, which isn't very many, suddenly it will just crash, it will just hang in a GL draw elements call. It's been super frustrating. So now I'm developing Linux, and I'm having help from people compiling for Windows. All the artists people, all Windows users, can't really use a Linux executable. Okay, so what we've got going in the 2 hours anyway is that we have an XML file for the game. In it you specify some artwork and some objects, but let's run it and see. Okay, it won't really be blue like this, it's just that's just good default colour. With the mouse you can place things. So at the moment we're in a sort of an edit mode, because this is how we're going to actually make the levels. This is not how it's going to be drawn when you're playing the game. You're obviously going to be controlling a little character, and the screen will be a bit prettier. So you can put a lot of these objects around, and there's several objects loaded, so you can choose which one you're going to put. Just put a spider on top. Let's have an army of spiders, something like that. Okay, now if I press the S key on the keyboard, it will save. If you saw the console, you'd see all this stuff. Anyway, so if we close this, and it says, the file's been updated. There you go. That's the changes. This is a description of the scene, saying which objects are where. Many of them. I'm just going to run it again. Okay, there you go. And it loaded, and it loaded back up. Cool. So we can start on scene editing and put some objects in there, and when we save it, it remembers them for next running. There's no messing around with file dialogues or anything, just overwriting the original file, which is checked into Git, so it's really easy to undo mistakes because it's just text file, and just go through Git and take away the bits. So right now the next step is to make a little tool to draw line segments that will describe the floor and the roof. We need the roof for shadowing later. The artists, we have Ishmael, that's Adrian Delpha. He's making the main character, which is going to be a little bit punky, and the main boss, which is going to be a Balrog, although we might not have a whip because it just doesn't look as good as we hoped. But that's coming along nicely. Mr. War, he hasn't turned up. He was supposed to do stuff a bit early, but now he actually has the weekend free, so he's going to do it on the weekend, and it isn't his weekend yet. Okay.